Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions, 4 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon. Today I'm going to be going through search, find, buy, why it works most of the time. I'm just going to let a few people enter the room and then we'll get started. If anyone's got any questions before we get started, just leave them there in the comments. And can you guess why search, find, buy works most of the time and when it doesn't and reason why? And then spoil my slides if you want. I'm just going to share to the groups and we'll get going in a sec. Okay, got a few more coming in now. Right, just going to share these and then we'll get going. Okay, get a few more in there. Cool, let's get going. Right, so just go over to the slides now. So search, find, buy, why it works most of the time. What we find is that people complain that they lose rank post running a search, find, buy campaign. They think maybe their product is not as good as what they thought. Some people overestimate how good their product is. Some people different. It depends on the individual. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but there is definitely one thing that isn't sustainable, and that is the conversion rate. So let's take a quick logical look at this. When someone is asking to go and when someone is asked to go and do a search with a keyword on Amazon, and then they buy the product, the conversion rate is 100%, unless, of course, they mess it up, but more on that later. This becomes unsustainable in the real world, as every shopper will not search and buy your product at this level of intent. If a good average conversion rate is 20%, then when you switch from search by buy to real buyers, your conversion rate drops down by 80% or thereabouts. Again, goes back to no reflection on the quality of your product. It comes down to the fact that the unsustainable conversion rate. Now, next thing we should quickly cover here before we move on. I did post this on the on the podcast a few weeks ago, or discussed it anyway. So is search, find, buy against Amazon's TOS? Well, at this moment, we do understand that Amazon's TOS is so broad that everything on planet Earth is against terms of service if Amazon chooses to be that way. However, on a serious note, this one here, it says, hello, we're contacting you because you appear to have violated the following policies on Amazon.com. For those who are listening on the podcast, misuse of ratings, feedback and reviews is not bolded. But then we've got misuse of sales rank and the new verbiage here, which is misuse of search and browse, which is really interesting. That's something I've only come across only recently, maybe last 6 to 8 weeks I've seen that come up. People may have spotted this a lot earlier. So it's something that we may need to pay attention to in the future. It also goes on to say prohibited behaviors on Amazon.com include but not limited to, and this one is bolded for the listeners on the podcast, hiring a third party to try and improve ASIN, rank and or reviews. And then it's got others in the listing which it hasn't bolded, which is sending packages to address where the recipient does not order or expect them, soliciting or accepting false or fraudulent orders, placing orders from your own products, compensating buyers for purchasing your products, including claim codes. So what it says you have violated here, and it says at the bottom, if this continues, well, you will not be able to sell on Amazon.com. So effectively, this is more like a warning to take heed and something to think about down the road. As I said, we've seen before where things move pretty fast in our world. So misuse of search and browse is something that's appeared just recently, but it'd be interesting to see how Amazon react to that. All right, so not exactly a case study, but for those who are not fully aware of search, find, buy, here's something which I call a low velocity one. Credit to Paul Harvey here. He gave me some of these screen grabs. So you can see here it's given 7 rebates away per day over a period of time from March the 8th to the 1st of April. And you can see 2 keywords that you're working to across those there. And you can see them going from 60, 61, 55. So they're back in the gods. And yeah, you can see just pretty quickly they get them up in the upper echelons of page one. Then you've got high velocity. This one's an interesting one because you've got for 2 weeks giving away 15 units a day, and then it switches and it doubles the amount to 30 units a day. What's interesting here, if you look at the takeover from the 30th of April to the 12th of May, they've doubled the amount of units that are given away in that given time period. But the positions, yeah, they're bubbling up and down. But if you look at from the 16th, 17th, 18th, and 22nd in that period, and then you look at May 10th, 12th, 14th, there's not much difference in the way of positioning here. They're pretty much odd on evens. So they've gone from giving away, it would be interesting to understand it, but giving away 15 units today to 30. Now, there's a theory I've got about this, which I'll come back to, which relates to search, find, brand, where people get lazy. But we'll come back to that in a minute. But first thing I want to do, let's look about putting it into the blender. So mixing Amazon PPC with search, find, buy. So you can blend with your search, find, buy campaigns and drive the sales via targeted keywords using your PPC. Why would you do this, and why would it be a good idea? Well, we're using PPC to help organic rank via specific keywords. If your search, find, buy buyers click on your PPC ads, this will help build amazing conversion history in your ad campaign. Going back to what I said earlier on, if your conversion rate is 100% because you're dictating what the buyer is searching with and buying every single time, rather than people searching and browsing and buying only a percentage, which are real users, you can see this is going to be very good for your conversion history inside of your ad campaigns related to those or pertaining to those specific keywords, which improves on your ad relevancy and your very high conversion rate, which in theory will help you rank organically. Going back to what I just said earlier on. The thing to remember, though, this is more expensive, right? So the unit cost, we've got the unit, then we've got the cost of giving it away plus the cost of PPC. So doing this isn't cheap, right? Whilst doable, it's still very expensive. So you really need to know your numbers, whether you want to go down that route anyway. Now, we've got another problem that you may find is what I call search, find, brand. So the search, find, buy that no one wants, right? So you do know that a chunk of your buyers may get lazy and then search on your brand name, okay? So if they have to go through tons of pages to find your product, there's a big chance that they may switch it up and take the easy route out by searching on your brand. This then creates a problem as your brand name in most cases has zero value beyond the micro conversions. So one solution could be to use something like a super URL, which is query based, right? So get yourself up to the first 2 pages. In most cases, it's quite easy, as all the sales activity, as we know, takes place at the top of page 1. Then it comes back to the URL debate, then which is better? Well, Amazon doesn't give ranking weights based on the URL. It is based on the relevance to the query. It just so happens that a super URL is actually a query in and of itself. So effectively, regardless of URL, it's only the carrier, and what matters is the execution in the query. So just to summarize here, when it comes down to search, find, buy, it works because the conversion rate is 100% in most cases, unless they make a mistake, going back down to average of, say, 20% conversion rate when it's done by normal sales on the platform. Okay, we do not know whether eventually search, find, buy will come against TOS, but at the moment the data set is really small. Mixing PPC is expensive, but serves both the customer convenience and solid campaign history for ranking organically. And people could get lazy and can search on your brand name instead of going through tons of pages. To mitigate this, think about using a query-based URL to get to the top 2 pages first, and then go back into the traditional mode of search, find, buy. Okay, hope that you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, don't forget, drop me email to danny@sellersessions.com, or if you want to drop some comments now in the comments at the side here, whatever platform that you're on. Tomorrow's show is going to be an interesting one I want to do, which is talk about Amazon A9 updates and what happens and how does it work? Because we often have these conversations. It's like, okay, yeah, there's a massive update and they've seen a real big shuffle in the search pages. But we never talk about how that happens. So again, with the science literature, I'm going to try and break that down exactly. You know, it could be that a training set went wrong. It could be something to do with the hunger score, where it's overreaching itself in terms of looking for non-relevant content with regards to the search results pages, and then obviously putting that out as a push, as an update, and then obviously it starts to shuffle all over the place. So tomorrow what I'll do is I'll break down some notes based on that, because we had one, when was it? It was about May, I think it was, where one weekend where it all went crazy, and basically you had loads of products that had no reviews that were at like positions 1, 2, and 3 on high velocity products. But I think it'd be good to break that down, because obviously we always go through this stage where people have observations, they scratch their heads and they say, look, you know, A9's just had a massive update. But we don't know that, do we? At the end of the day, we don't control the algorithm. But if we understand how it works, I did do a show a few weeks ago to break it down in layman's terms, the key components of A9 based on the science literature, rather than just pulling it out my backside and making it up as we're going along. It's all based on the science literature. So join me tomorrow and we'll go through that. Take care of yourself and your family. Hold on, we've got some questions here. Hi, Danny. Maybe a daft question, but any news about Seller Sessions Live? I'll talk to you about that after. It's all down to the green list and when our US speakers can fly. Matt Parker says, hiring third parties to try and improve ASIN rank. Do you know what criteria it covers? Very interesting. Matt, no, effectively, Amazon has very, very, very broad terms of service and executes however they please, really, based on a series of words. Sometimes it's a roulette. But no, I mean, I'm being absolutely serious there, because a lot of stuff can come under improve ASIN rank, and you know, we can pull it to pieces. But what really matters is it ubiquitous at the moment? Are we seeing this constantly happening? Are people being suspended for search, find, buy? No. Is it related to reviews? That's when you get suspended on stuff, because I think what happens is people don't always tell the full story when things happen. But most of the stuff that we find out is generally related to reviews, less to do with things like URLs, less to do with search, find, buy. Obviously, we see that message as a warning, but only time will tell. The proof's in the pudding. So, guys, I'll see you back here tomorrow, 4 p.m. UK time. Take care of yourself and your family. Much love. Speak to you soon.